In less than 12 hours from now, the US presidential debate is about to begin. Even if Donald Trump is obsessed with crowd size and Kamala Harris is used to talking over as a senator, both will not be allowed to do either. And that brings us to tell you what we know about the debate. The 90-minute debate will be held at the National Constitution Center in Philadelphia. It is scheduled for 9 p.m. local time at ABC News Network. And no live audience will be allowed this time. Microphones will not be hot throughout the debate, and they will be on during speaker's turn and muted when the other candidate is speaking. Now, this was a bone of contention, remember, for weeks, as Harris was hoping to get the mic switched on throughout. None of them will be allowed to carry any props or pre-written notes. They will be given a pen, a notepad, and a bottle of water. Neither will be allowed to interact with campaign staffers during commercial breaks. Trump won a virtual coin flip, so he has chosen to give the last closing statement, and that means that Kamala Harris will be standing on the right side of the screen. Neither is permitted to step away from their lecterns. Now, ABC World News Tonight anchors David Moore and Lindsay Davis will be the moderators. All rules have been kept the same as the first presidential debate, when Donald Trump and then Democratic candidate Joe Biden took the stage in June. And the primetime duel on ABC News will be their first and probably the only time Harris and Trump will take the stage. To tell us what's happening on the ground, our correspondent Susan Tehrani is joining us live from New York. And for some perspective, Richie Greenberg is coming live from San Francisco. He's a political commentator and former candidate for the city's mayor. Both of you, thank you so much for joining us here on WION. Susan, if I could quickly start with you. We're hearing that both candidates are preparing very differently. What are you hearing from both the camps?
Kamala Harris has been hunkered down in Pennsylvania since last Thursday, preparing for this debate. We learned that she's talking with people like Hillary Clinton, the former Secretary of State, who was also a Trump rival back in 2016. She's also talking to people like Chris Christie, who's a Republican, who had shared the stage with Donald Trump again during the previous election, and also was part of the mock debates with Donald Trump as well. In terms of the former president, we do know that Tulsi Gabbard has been talking to President Trump. She has been sort of preparing him because she was very successful in countering a lot of Kamala Harris's positions when she was on the same stage as her during the time that she was a Democrat and running for president. So it'll be interesting to see these preparations, although it appears Harris is preparing a lot more, how they're going to play out tonight on ABC during that debate.
All right, Mr. Greenberg, if you could quickly come in, do you think the focus of the debate would be the independent voters, and what are they looking for from both the nominees?
Yes, I agree. It would be the independent voters, because a long time ago, the moment that we knew who the two final candidates were going to be, Mr. Trump or Kamala Harris, that already there sets up a division between the Democrats and the Republicans. It's not like we're going to have many who are going to change their party allegiance from one to the other. That's just the way it seems to be. So yes, it would be the independent voters, but we also do have here in the United States, we have very small contingency of other types of voters. We have a Green Party, libertarians. So they also will then line up with who they're favored, that would be favored by their party platform. So yes, the independent voters, especially those that are in the swing states, those particular few states here in America that are undecided, but they become a very crucial key role in whether or not their votes would then back one over the other. And that's where the emphasis is going to be.
All right, you make a very important point there. Both of us, please stay with us as we talk about the numbers right now. Kamala Harris and Donald Trump are locked in an extremely tight contest heading into their first debate. So let's get you the latest opinion polls that we have for you. A polling average by 538 on ABC News suggests that Democratic nominee is ahead by 3 percentage points. Since President Biden's exit, remember, Harris has turned around the opinion polls. And this also comes a day after, interestingly, interestingly, the New York Times and Siena poll that showed that Trump was leading Harris nationally for the very first time in a few weeks, especially since the two conventions. All right, Mr. Greenberg, if I could quickly come back to you, I want to ask you, do you think this debate that we're going to see in Philadelphia might be actually more consequential for Kamala Harris than Donald Trump?
Well, that's absolutely true, of course. And this goes on the heels of having that disastrous debate with Joe Biden. And that, as we all know, was the impetus for him to basically drop out. So now this is going to be the first face-off between Trump and Harris. It's going to be absolutely crucial, critical. How can she handle herself? How does he handle himself? Because we all know he has a very brash type of attitude and how he addresses all the issues. So it's going to be critical, very critical.
All right, and with the numbers being neck and neck, that will be something we'll be looking forward to. Stay with us. We have some reactions coming in from American voters ahead of the debate.
And it's split 50-50. This debate is really tight, and they're both very strong candidates.
I think Kamala should be genuine in the way she responded.
One of the biggest things I'll just be looking to hear from her is what, just sort of like what she's going to do about what's going on in Gaza.
Trump is Trump, so I like him because he's very outspoken, so we know what to expect from Trump.
That's what we're talking about for a debate, entertainment. That's where we are as a country, in my opinion.
She didn't mention inflation.
Susan, if I could come to you, what do you hear around you? Over the years, do the American voters actually look forward to such kind of a debate, and how much of it actually influences them, what they do on November 5th?
Yeah, debates are important, not only because of the theatrics and the mannerism of the candidates, but also because to a certain extent, voters get an understanding about policy. And we know now, because of that New York Times Siena poll that you mentioned, not only 365 with Nate Silver and others, that Kamala Harris and her camp need to solidify her policies, and more Americans want to know more about who she is, where she stands on different issues, and how much she's distancing herself from President Joe Biden, because she's offering herself as being the candidate of change. That's going to be challenging for her, and a lot of voters are going to be listening for that. More or less, they know where Donald Trump stands on a lot of issues, but nonetheless, since this is the only debate we're probably going to be getting between the two, and this has been an extraordinary election cycle, I think a lot of people are going to be looking forward to this compared to even previous ones that were popular, sure.
Right. Mr. Greenberg, every single presidential debates that we see, there are always some bits that stick around even after the debates. For example, be that Donald Trump's name calling, or Kamala Harris's I'm talking, sir, or Joe Biden's will you shut up, man. These are things that really stick with the voters. What are you looking for this time?
Well, what I'm looking for, interestingly, is to see what can Kamala Harris do in terms of distancing herself from previous situations where she was looked at as being just a facade, where she was silent on pretty much all of the issues. We all want to know what she thinks, what she proposes. Finally, yesterday, her website was updated to give answers. As has been said, we know pretty much where Trump comes from. We know his mannerisms. We know what his views are because he's constantly interviewed. He's constantly in the news making his statements or short little snippets, and Kamala Harris has been virtually silent. So this is what's really important. We all want to know what she says. We all want to know her mannerisms, because that is what the debate is. And I might add, I'm disappointed, as are a lot of people disappointed, that there are not, and probably are not going to be any more debates between the two of them. We still have a substantial amount of time. And early voting is going to start by mail or in person within the next few weeks, if not already. And it is crucial to hear how they interact with each other. And as it's been said, it is entertainment.
All right, Mr. Greenberg, Susan, thank you so much for all those insights and updates. Good to speak to both of you.
Thank you.
For all the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.